All right, let's get right into it. You've just walked out of your Social Security Consultative exam, the CE. You're probably sitting in your car, your head is spinning, and there's that one massive question just hanging in the air. Well, we're going to pull back the curtain on that whole confusing, anxious waiting period. We're going to walk through the 7 truths you absolutely need to know about what happens next so you can feel like you're in the driver's seat, not just in the dark. So, you did it. You answered all the questions, you went through the tests, and now what? Just silence? Let's talk about this moment. That feeling of complete uncertainty. Wondering what that doctor is writing down, who's going to see it, and what it all means for your claim. It's a really tough spot to be in, and trust me, you are not alone in feeling that way.
And there it is. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The stress really comes from not knowing, from feeling like your fate was just decided in that one short exam. But what if I told you that's one of the biggest myths in this whole process? Understanding what's really happening behind the scenes is the absolute key to getting through this.
Okay, so let's become detectives for a minute. We're going to follow the secret path that your exam report takes. We're going to find out who actually reads it and where the real decision-making power is. And believe me, our very first stop is going to bust a huge myth. Let this sink in because it is the most important thing you can hear right now. The doctor you just saw, whether they seemed super nice or were kind of rushed, they have zero, and I mean zero power to approve or deny your claim. Their job is something else entirely. Their opinion is not the final word. So what is their job then? Think of them as an impartial fact gatherer. Social Security hires them to just get the objective data. They're documenting things like your blood pressure, how far you can bend, how you respond to basic questions. They provide the raw data, but you'll never see them write, "I think this person is disabled." That call is left for someone else entirely. And here they are, the someone else. This is an agency called DDS, which stands for Disability Determination Services. These are the real decision makers. It's a state-level team of trained adjudicators and medical experts who look at all the evidence. They're not in your local Social Security office. They're the ones who hold the cards and make the final medical call on your case. And here's another key part of that secret path. The report doesn't just go back to the local office you filed at. Nope, it gets sent directly to that DDS adjudicator who's in charge of your file. And that makes total sense when you think about it, right? The adjudicator is the one who ordered the exam in the first place because they saw a gap in your records they needed to fill. So let's lay out this whole journey step by step. It starts with you at the exam. Then the C doctor writes up their objective report. That report is zapped over directly to DDS. It gets dropped into your file, and then, and this is the critical part, the adjudicator makes a decision based on all the evidence, not just this one report. They legally have to. Okay, brace yourself, because this next one is a little shocking for most people. You are not going to get a copy of this report. The doctor won't give you one on your way out, and DDS isn't going to mail you one. This really important document about your own health just gets added to a file you can't see, unless your claim is denied. Only then, when you appeal, can you or your lawyer get your hands on the entire file. And as we'll see, that is a game changer. All right, so if the CE doctor isn't the one making the call, and you don't even get to see the report, what is the point? Let's zoom out a bit and put this whole thing in perspective. You're about to see that this exam, it's just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. This should feel like a huge weight off your shoulders. The law is very clear. The DDS adjudicator is not allowed to make their decision based on just this one exam. They have to do what's called a whole file review. They've got to look at every single doctor's note, every x-ray, every hospital visit you've ever submitted. The CE is just there to fill in a blank, not to rewrite your entire story. In fact, let's look at what that puzzle actually looks like. In a typical file, the records from your own doctor, the one who's seen you for months or years, that's usually the biggest piece of the pie. It carries the most weight. Hospital records are huge too. Now, find the CE report. See? It's a decent-sized slice for sure, but it's not the whole thing. It simply can't outweigh years of consistent medical evidence from your own team. Now let's tackle the biggest fear of all. What if the doctors seem dismissive? What if you know they got something wrong? You can just feel your stomach drop thinking about it. But listen, a bad CE report is a setback, for sure. But it is not a death sentence for your claim. It's something you can absolutely fight. And this is exactly how you fight back. This is your game plan.
The minute you appeal, you get that file. A good attorney can then tear that report apart, find the errors, get a statement from your own doctor to counter it, and show a judge exactly why that one report doesn't match the mountain of other evidence. You are not powerless here. So the exam is done. The report has made its secret journey. It's sitting in your file being weighed against everything else. What now? Let's talk about the final stretch, the waiting, the timeline, and that all-important letter that eventually shows up in your mail. This is another one of those frustrating truths, but it's so important to know. There is no set timeline. After that CE report lands in your file, it's basically in the adjudicator's inbox. And who knows, they might be swamped with other cases, or maybe they're still waiting on records from another one of your doctors. These state DDS offices get seriously backlogged, so you've got to be prepared to wait. But just to give you some kind of a ballpark figure, here's a look at the average in Virginia. The entire process for an initial decision from the day you first applied can take anywhere from 3 to 7 months. The CE usually happens somewhere in the middle of that. Now, of course, this is just an average, but it helps make that vague idea of waiting feel a little more concrete. So, what can you actually do while you're stuck in this waiting game? Here it is, the single most important piece of advice. Keep going to your doctor. Don't stop getting treatment. You know one of the biggest reasons claims get denied? Gaps in medical records. So while they're taking their time reviewing your file, you should be busy adding more good, solid evidence to it. And then, finally, the waiting is over. Once the DDS adjudicator makes their call, they send your file back to the local Social Security office. And then, you'll get that official envelope in the mail. This is it, the notice of decision. This letter holds the answer you've been waiting all these months for. Now, inside that letter, it's going to be one of two things. If you're approved, it'll explain when your disability started and when you can expect payments. But if it's a denial, it will explain why they found you not disabled. And right there, that's often where you'll finally see the CE report mentioned. And most importantly, that denial letter starts a clock. You've got 60 days to appeal. And if that letter is a denial, I really want you to remember this. A denial feels like the end, but it is not the end of the road. Far from it. For so many people, it's actually the start of the part of the process where they finally win. A denial is what gives you the power to get your file, to see what that CE doctor really wrote, and to build your case to challenge it. So the biggest takeaway here is this. The process isn't really about you just passively waiting for a letter to arrive. That letter, approved or denied, is actually your cue. It's a call to action. It's the piece of information you need to plan your next move. So the real question isn't just what happens after the exam, it's what are you going to do next?